I know if something is the other way around, but keep in mind that not all loaf bread live a man. I do need some of your juice clicks as well. So welcome to Riding Clock, you forget. Today we are playing as the most Teutons of the orders, which start if you're really good in each army, but don't have the funds or even the force limit to really engage in a larger war with any of our neighbor. But do fear not, my brother in Christ. You do have the power of God and anime in your side. Wait, no anime? So why are we playing that and not the cooler Prussia? Oh, it's because we can make that thing of become a holy horde and go steal the name of the Mongol Empire like the British did with everything else. I get it. You know what I had to say about that shit? Fuck off. We stand true Germans. The Teutons stand in a fairly unique starting situation. We do have indeed two completely different routes of action, but the range of our missions will only be unlocked as we progress in the conquest of Poland and the placating of the Dancing Confederation. So for the sake of that, we won't be getting any PowerPoint privilege for now. So for the clergy, give them only the church centers and the religious diplomats. We will be beating a fairly decent amount of church as the game progresses, and the 25 relations gain will be game changing for us. For the nobility, give the supremacy of the monastic order and the rights of council. As for the burghers, give the free enterprise. After some access steps, we will also give you the patronage of the arts. I do recommend that you once again recruit troops into the depleted Roman power, and just after that summon the diet. Go for the cheap advisor agenda and seize the land. And now you can already disband the troops that you just start building. Before we start setting some diplomats, I do recommend that you modify our forts and stop paying for troops. See that we have at least 5 years of truce with Poland, and before attacking Poland, Lithuania is not that much that we can do. And now it's time to start setting some diplomats. There's two things that I want to make sure of. The first one is that the Bohemians don't rival to us. If the Bohemians do rival you, restart. It's not worth continuing playing with all the Bohemians at your side. And if they don't rival you, they are basically a guaranteed ally. The second one is if the Bohemians and the Austrians are rival to each other. If that's not the case, ally the Bohemians, and after they send an alliance to Brandenburg. But if they do rival each other, we'll be first trying to reach for a 100 opinion with Austria first, and just after that send the alliance to the Bohemian. We do have a real mission that we desperately want to complete before the fate of Neumark happens. After they ally Brandenburg, and for your her, go for the one that you think will be most useful to you. Remember that the monarch points that the her have here is completely RNG. I will be choosing the Mercat Son for a bit of Irreducats. Well, that's not exactly a Prussian ruler, but it is what it is. And after the diplomats got back, start to improve with Austria, and the Livonians will probably send a lance offer to you. Accept that, and use your diplomats to start improve relations with them. And what you can do here in order to maximize the relations gain is just after sending the diplomats to Livonia, call them back, and the month after the diplomat cooldown expires, send them back again. See that in the moment that you send the diplomat to start improve relations, you already get an improvement tick, so it's no use to let your diplomat laze around for an entire month. And for your next ally, you'll be choosing Wolgast. The strategy here is to try to encircle the Polands. They do usually choose some questionable friends. Their Islu is really small, such as Stettin, Wolgast, Mecklenburg, and even seen they ally Lundberg sometimes. And if you ally other border nations and set them as rivals, they are less likely to ally such nations like Wolgast, Stettin, and let's go on. So for the sake of that, I'll be allying Wolgast. Stettin will be a bit of overkill. Remember that it has less monarch point that we usually will be having because of the Crowland issue. So now it's time to set some rivals. First of all, start with always Poland. After all, we want almost right from the bat, declare on them. And for your second rival, I usually do like to rival someone that rival me and the Livonians rival as well. Normally, Novgorod is the right choice. And for the third rival, I'll be letting the slot open for a little bit. The idea here is to rival someone that Poland has rivals. If we do need to fight that anyway, might as well grab some major objective. And now we've improved with Livonian and Austria to at least 75 opinion, and we'll be right back. Now we finally get the event that explains a little bit of the situation of the Teutonic Order. Basically, we have a Prussian path or a Crusader path. The Prussian path is involved around becoming Prussia per se and dealing with the Empire, by diplomatic, by conquest, or by consolidating a Prussian kingdom in the east. As for the Crusader one, it's about well, a LARP crusader thing. You basically can crusade against all the Orthodox and Sunni nations, and later on you can even become a holy horde. Basically some mix together into a holy state and a steppe horde. You can pretty much raise province, so it's nice, it's cool. Also, you get 100% cavalry defense ratio, which is fine, I guess. Or overthrow the Brandenburg and become the Prussians and have an insanely good path to form or the German nation, or uniting the Holy Roman Empire. In your game right here, we're going for the diplomatic HRE path, which we can pretty much vassalize Brandenburg, steal the electorate to us, later embrace a kind of Prussian monarch thing, which is unique to Teutonic Order, and Livonia is basically the Prussian monarchy but for theocracies. And I could not ask for a better RNG. Moldavia, against all odds, decide to remain independent, which is great for us. And because I'm quite dumb, I forgot about advisors. For your enemy advisor, go for national tax or heal prestige. Because we are a theocracy and thus gain a bunch of national tax modifier, I'll be choosing also a national tax modifier advisor in order to stack a big number here. For diplomatic advisor, go for a diplomatic reputation. I will explain that in a little bit. And for your meal advisor, wait for a cheap one. And if you don't manage to get them toward the state agenda, you can grab either a morale advisor or a discipline. The worst case scenario will be a national manpower. In my case, because I get a cheaper one, I will be waiting a little bit. And for the sake of getting the first meal tech yearly, at least before the Polands do, I'll be setting my national focus to meal power. And after we get the advisor, will be at least 8 meal power per month, which I don't have to say is way better than the Polands can do in the early game. For a navy, set your light ships to protect trade in the Baltic Sea. 2 of your galleys to hunt pirates in the Baltic Sea, and that should be enough to stop the Gotlands invading your province. For the rest of my navy, I will mothball them for now. Later, we'll be using them to invade Gotland, probably in the first war against the Polands, but we will probably need to wait a little bit to have the right feeling about how that war is going to happen. And I do have to say another thing, the only reason that I don't disband my cavalry for now is because we start with 10% cavalry compatibility, so our cavalry are extremely powerful, even if you have to pay a little more for them, is worth it. Remember that the early game fighting, the most of damage will happen in the chalk phase, and cavalry has a bunch of chalk. And now that we reached 75 opinion of Austria, I'll be calling my diplomat and send a scornful insult to one of their rivals. I'll be choosing France, because I'm a bit scared of the Otokuks. And in the best case scenario, we might even be able to ally them, forming the unholiest of the alliance that you've ever seen. Croissant should be filled with chocolates. And now that we've instilled the French enough, we can seek the Imperial Protection, which requires us to have at least 100 opinion with Austria. Choose that, and we have 2 choices here. The first one is to bend the knee to Emperor and ask to join the HRE. I'll be choosing that. But if you're going for the Crusader path, you always want to choose the second option, which will grant us meal power, morale of armies, and even a whole yearly prestige for a lot of time. The downside to that is by choosing the second option, joining the Emperor will be almost impossible for at least 15 to 20 years. So, Austria, bud, can you be my daddy? And that will start a new incident in the Empire. The option that the Emperor will choose will probably be the mid one, which will temper for battles to attack one of the prince, and if to attack one of the ancient members, we will be also attack Austria in a no CB war. That is something that we do have to keep in mind. But fear not, after we conquer 3 provinces of Poland and grab a bit of loyalty for our states, we'll be able to join the Empire at full glory in a totally Prussian style. And when the fate of Neumark happens, don't even dare to see the province, okay? That will probably hurt our relations with Brandenburg a little bit, but we don't really care. And what we will be doing in the meantime, while we do wait to the Empire to deliberate our situation, is to start currying some favors with your allies. Saying that, mainly Brandenburg and Wolfgast. Bohemia will be calling the war against the Polands by promising them some land. And unfortunately, my Chad initial ruler died, and I got a shithead 0 mil. That being said, you have to choose another. Something for the clergy that time. Ouch, that hurt. And well, we also get the Teutonic Order join the Empire for now, which means that we are indeed a member of the Empire, but not a completely one per se. But that being said, even not being a completely member of the HRE, we already get some benefits of it, such as the +1 Diplo rotation, which allied with our Diplo advisor gives us 2 holy Diplo rotation, which is almost enough to maximize your chance to get the Livonian Order for free as a vassal. With that mission here, we have 2 chances. If our relations are high enough and we have high Diplo rep, the Livonians might be submitting to us, thus giving us a free vassal over them. The second option is that they decide to stay independent, and in that scenario we gain a subjugation CB against them. I will not say that much, but you should probably save the game. Before clicking that mission, make sure your game is paused. The notification of orders, and we will offer Devonian Order vassalization. The acceptance gets more likely the more diplomatic reputation we have. But I have to say, it is extremely hard to get in as a vassal. I don't know exactly the odds, but it's something like at 5 games, one of them they decide to become your vassal even with 2 Diplo reputation. So, let's make your bet. Holy, that's literally my first attempt. But if you don't get in as a vassal, you know when your incredibly good hero go to hunt and you accidentally press Alt F4, and with that, the Livonians are now our vassal, which will automatically complete another mission of us with the bound of the orders. You won't click in that mission at least for now. You want to spare them for the war against Poland. The last receipt of the Knights is a kind of Justin tournament, but unique for them. We'll give you some morale of armies, manpower recovery speed, Ilian tradition, a lot of manpower and a bunch of army tradition for the cost of 100 admin power. It's a really great event and a modifier that lasts for 15 years. So don't spare your admin at least for now. And in order to prepare for wars against the Polands, I will start building some units into our force limits. Only infantry for now, okay? Outlaw cavalry is extremely strong, our economy cannot keep with them. And of course you will take on stability of me. And when the truce got close to expiry, you should activate all your forts and start paying for your troops. And if you are able to get a strike of luck and grab Muscovy to your side, go for it. Believe me, they will be willing to join your side if you give them the right motivations. And when you are able to finally seize some land again, improve your stability to 1 and curtail the Prussian Confederation for the greater good. They will not able to rise against you, thus Danzig is no more. And now that we are finally going to war, we'll be clicking some missions. The Teutonic Persistence that requires to have the force limit and a meal advisor, and the bound of the orders will give us some manpower recovery speed and some early armed tradition, which will greatly improve our chance to fight against bigger stacks. We will be moving our troops to the border of the Polands and attacking them for Naklo. See that my ally is a bunch of cowards with no ambition, so I'll be having to stick with only Bohemia. I'll be declaring for Naklo, calling Bohemia, and pray for the Muscovites to be interested in the Lithuanian province when the war started, which is not even the case. For some reason. When the war starts, set Krakow as objective to the Bohemians and make sure your troops don't get caught in the middle of the warfare against one of the biggest attacks of the Poland-Lithuania. So just make sure that you maneuver your troops with caution in order to not get wiped. And when I say about caution, don't bother with them. Just try to not get as little stacks healing in stupid ways, okay? And for a province, I would strongly recommend that you set the state edicts to defensive. That will slow down them a bunch and thus making the war easier for us, making a siege race even possible. And because for the first time in age Lux was on my side, I was able to catch Poznan in less than 200 days. And whenever you see the chance to catch up some minor stacks like that, go for it. The war is not about major battles but the little one, and that should be a wipe. Another minor stack, and another minor stack. And another minor stack, that time in one of our defensive province. Now that we don't have the Prussian Confederation bothering us anymore, we're giving the +1 money privilege to all states. And in that way we have a really better monarch points generation. Don't bother that much about the Crowland, via or conquest and seizing of land we'll be getting all the way up to at least 30. And trying to catch a minor stack of them, I just got beaten. And that's something that you probably shouldn't be doing. The battle will hurt us a lot. And when we finally grab the first mule tech, our troops will be pretty much invincible in even fights. Even if I have less morale and not full reinforcing troops, I might even be able to stack wipe their army right here. And rep. I'll be giving to the nobility the aristocratic consulars, to the burghers the commercial advisory board, and for the clergy the clerical advisory council. Basically, all the cheaper advisors privilege. And on top of that, I will also be giving the nobility in officer corps to the nobles, in order to make your general a bit cheaper and your army tradition less likely to decay. And because siege areas can and can't be bothered to occupy the capital of my vassal if they took that right now, I will be taking less than I wanted. The two provinces that belong to our state, and Naklo, Posen, and that one little here, which I can't find pronunciation and brother that language, in order to connect our main holdings to our Neumark holdings. I can't even take money right now, so the later conquests will be leading to our next war. Yoink. And now we almost double in our size with only the first war, and finally we'll be able to fulfill the mission of defeat Poland, unlocking the rest of our mission tree and giving us the ability to decide what path that we want, which I'll be right away popping up. Now we have to decide the future of the Teutonic Order. The first one unlocks us the Prussian mission path. The second one will be unlocking the Crusader one, which will make us leave the Empire and lock our Prussian formable. We do like to stay as true Germans, don't we? That being said, that's our new mission tree. Now we do only need to improve the loyalty of our states in order to unlock the second branch tree of our missions. So in order to do that, I will be trying to placate my states a little bit. And now that the war is over, you can already start paying for your troops and multiply your forts again. Economic wise, we don't have really an economy. And my next rival will be my current ally Brandenburg, because he will be the next dude that we're gonna be attacking. So for the sake of that, already setting a truce will be useful, and instead of Brandenburg, I'll be allying Saxony. The idea here is to tank out our aggressive expansion a little bit, and that's one of the original reasons that I allied Brandenburg in the first place. The second being by setting them away off the Poland, but right now I will not even be surprised if they do manage to ally each other. And in order to help us a little bit with aggressive expansion decay, I'll be setting a merchant to Saxony and tell them to establish community. That will help us with the improvement of relations with all nations that has influence in the Saxon node, and the improvement relations modifier is what tells us directly how much aggressive expansion will decay with the year tick. And I do have a feeling that Denmark are not going to feel really great after that. And for my first government reform, I'll be taking commercial mission. That will help me by reaching further nodes and even getting a further increasement of improved relations, and in the long run will be greater increase my trade income as well. And for my recent third car merchant, I'll be sending them to Lubeck to collect and set them to establish community as well. Oh no. Anyway. And I'll gladly take a 515. And he's even a free thinker as well, so he's a great dude. So let me just try to get your current ruler killed. And remember to, whenever you can, lower the autonomy of our province. The rebels will not be a issue anyway, since they're just about to uprising, and the manpower and income increase that you gain off that will be worth it. So let me just get whichever province they will be rising up, that will be Posen, because of the high dev of the province. Remember, rebels always rise up in the highest possible dev province, and I'll be setting my third rival as Denmark, since they're not doing that well anymore, and I'm not afraid anymore of the ally Brandenburg or even Poland. They're just a piece of cake to be bite at that point, and that was the rival army. Now I can finally once again stop paying for my troops. And unfortunately Brandenburg is no longer a valid rival. That sucks. And now they're my possible rival again, so I think that is just a free power projection. Don't mind if I do. And because I don't wanna wait any longer, I'll be selling some titles in order to complete one of our missions. Even if I have only 10% core land, is not really an issue, because at that point of the game we are not large enough to the autonomy be really a thing, and I can even seize land afterwards, so it's literally just for the sake of completing the Order and the Empire. We can choose the Roman Diplomacy, that will give us a subjugation CB against the Brandenburgs and some more permaclans. We can lock the German Conquest path, which will basically give us a war warmongering path to conquer and unite the whole German Empire by the means of force and blood, or I should mean blood and iron, or you can choose the third one, that is the Prussian kingdom style, that will make us leave the empire and guide us to establish a Prussian kingdom in the east. In our run, I'll be choosing the Holy Roman diplomacy, and that will even give us the Teutonic Order within the Empire that will allow us to go after the Brandenburgs after truce expire and pop off another event that will enable us to form Prussia even if we only have the admin tech 4. And now, we are indeed a Prussian theocracy. Even have the Prussian ideas, and the only thing that is still lacking is the Prussian militarization mechanics, but we will be unlocking them as we progress in our mission tree. And now I will seize land in order to not have 0 core land because that's suicide. And with the exodus of the Salem titles, we are able to embrace the institution, thus giving us the 5 mil tech, and at least for now you should always choose the longbow option, okay? And now that our truce even expire, I will be attacking Brandenburg with the subjugation CB. And because I'm a bit lazy, I will be killing my allies as well, and I just need to make sure that we stand in Berlin capital before my allies could get in that. And because the northern Germany, and specifically in the HRE, aggressive expansion can be a killer, I'll start to improve relations with some countries such as Austria and other big guys. And in the middle of the war, in order to help us a little bit, I'll be taking patronage of the arts, for getting some prestige and thus some improved relations and aggressive expansion impact. First that we will only get some prestige, we don't really want to get anything of them, and they can even give us that much of money, so only have them out of the war for now is good enough, and the prestige will be useful as well. Now Hesse is the emperor. Huh, I certainly don't expect that, And after taking Berlin down, it's just a matter of taking down minor attacks and siege their allies in order to end the war. Ouch! And rip. And by getting some military access to Mecklenburg and Lunenburg, I was able to reach Altmark without the need to take the Magdeburg fort. And because that game just hate my life, Brandenburg just take another province of Saxony, thus increase the war score and aggressive expansion needed to take them, to vassalize them. And her just die in like 3 months? Serious, dude? Well, that's another chance to get some more prestige and screw the clergy. And then, right? Well, I don't think that was a wrong for the Houden, but will do as well. And in fact, I do know they are sieging down my vassal, but I don't really give. And for Anlat, and by Anlat, I will also just taking some prestige of them. And of course, you'll take that in just 200 days, because it's that how siege works anyway. And rip. And now if I can quickly siege my province will be pretty nice, right? And I don't think that we're going that well in the holy side of things, but I'm really craving for some prestige. And that was less than expected, I have to give that the credit. And rip. And after a bit of aggressive carpet sieging while they siege my fort, I'm able to piece Hungary out of the war with, well, a lot of money. And after getting improved relations guide and farming a bit of prestige and build a high spy network in the Brandenburg, I'm able to piece Brandenburg out with the subjugation of them with almost no opposed to that. And because I'm doing that in 3rd of December, when their edict come, most of the nations will not able to join the coalition anyway. So on top of that, I will take the max amount of money that I can, and that is indeed a yoink time. And with the Montek, Lubeck is not able anymore to join our coalition. Remember that positive opinion countries cannot join coalition against you, so use that in your favor and improve with all nations that is still negative, okay? I will be calling my diplomat for Lubeck to nations such as Brunswick, as Mecklenburg, and let's go on. And that's complete another formation that is to subjugate Brandenburg, but I will not pick on that yet because give us some new point and we don't really have how to spare them right now, so I will wait until we can grab our first idea group. And with the money that I got for Brandenburg and Hungary, I will be paying all of my loans. And I'll once again stop paying for my army, but that time I was sticking with the forts because, as you can see, we have some red flags. I'll be declaring Poland for the conquest of Calais, not even to take the province for myself, but in order to break the coalition and maybe grab a bit of ducats, that will be nice as well. So I'll become Bohemia and Muscovy, setting my war target to Calix and retreating my troops in order to let my allies do the heavy lift for me. So for the sake of that, I'll be setting some objectives such as Krakow to Bohemia again and Smolensk to Muscovy. Remember that even if you do have the quality advantage, the numbers of the Poland and Lithuania are massive and I don't feel like losing troops for them just for free. So let's just play careful right here, okay? And by encircling minor stacks, we'll be able to greatly decrease the numbers, thus make the war way more manageable. But I will not lie to you, it's not even a decent fight because the massive amount of troops that Muscovy and the subjects can bring to the table. And rip. And for the first idea group, we'll have a few different options, but mainly we'll be starting with a meal one. If you really want some Space Marines, and if you really want some Prussian Space Marines, you should open with quality or offense. I think that quality is better for the LARP thing and have great policies with economic or innovativeness that will make our army pretty much invincible for the full course of the game. And you know, if you are playing Prussia, you probably want an invincible army anyway, but I strongly defend the point that Prussia itself has a already strong army and thus don't really need a quality thing, so quantity or divine is really nice because we'll be struggling a little bit with numbers in the beginning and both of them have their ways of giving you manpower. But because I do like to LARP around, I will pick quality for my first idea and diplomatic for my second one. The third one will probably be innovativeness or economic, maybe even espionage, but I will need to wait a little bit to see how the game is going on. And you probably should be the same, don't pick ideas just because they're good, unless it's diplomatic and administrative and you want to make a wide gameplay, because that's must need idea groups. EU4 is a game about being able to manage the situations that you got yourself on. Basically your adaptability used to be more important than really your strategy in the late run. Like Brandenburg conquer a province for Saxony and thus make us have to fight the Poles again in order to not die for a coalition. And that's truly what EU4 is all about. That and stacking modifiers, of course. After all, that's the most fun thing that the game has to offer. And because I'm just about to reach the Mule Tech 6, I will not even be picking my idea for now and reserve my mule power for the 6 mule tax is the big different tech in the game. Arm with the 5th tech is not a threat against arm with the 6th tech, so we can pretty much take down armies almost twice our size if you play your cards correctly and have great general, which as you might already know is not exactly my thing. And because the Poland and Lithuania are too cowards to fight me and they're reaching the mule cap, I'll be taking the first idea but I'll be only feeling the rest of the ideas to catch up in tech. And because I don't feel like having to siege block in the Kaunas fort again, I'll be taking both of them together with my clan, the max amount of money, war operations and humiliate. And that's it for the Poles. And if I do have to say, I have a beautiful PP right now, and that's another one of our missions done. And with Poland out of the way, the coalition don't have the balls to mobilize against us anymore. So it's basically just free conquest and now it's time to make some money. I will be bonding ties with the actual emperor in order to later on, after current a lot of trust with them, request the electorate to us in order to give us the chance to progress in our mission tree. And now that I won't block, I will be deleting the fort Austerod. It's not a great province to have a fourth one, and we already have the zone of control that the other fort gives us. So it's a bye-bye because it's only spending my money. And because we also have a lot of aggressive expansion stack with the HRE, you'll be cooling down a little bit and start building some buildings, such as some churches in Danzig and Königsberg, because tax for now is quite profitable, and we even have some gen province that further improve the local tax modifier, allied with our devotion and with some advisors. The most part of our money comes for taxation, and that's even with a lot of negative modifiers that we will be slowly but surely getting rid of. And what I I also like to do after our second war against Poland is to promote the Polish culture, because it's such a massive and great development culture, and getting them promoted will get rid of the negative modifiers that began with a not accepted culture in your nation, such as local unrest, negative tax modifier, and negative manpower modifier. That is what hurt us the most. And by only promoting Polish as an accepted culture should be enough to further improve your income and manpower. Not exactly what I would call a balanced one, but it's decent as well. And as you might see, as a theocracy, the change of rulers is something that you need to get used to. And for the third government reform, I don't think that I really have a better one to be picked. The education of the theocracy is really good for the education event. The education of the court is extremely good for advisor cost stacking. As for the education of the missionaries is extremely worth if you're conquering a lot in the east. But in my case, I will be picking the fourth one, the education of the people, in order to save up right from the bad manpower in order to complete our idea groups. Because at the end of the game you'll be already fill a lot of idea groups, so making it really worth taking that modifier the earlier you can. And the institution spread in the True Faith province is something good to keep in mind in order to counterbalance the reform not being so universal as the other ones. I think I can feel a little connection, and that's a holy thing to be seen. And what you can do when you get Saint Proclaim event or any other event that gives you stability is, before taking that stability, if you have 0 stab, is to boost to at least 1, maybe 2, in order to maximize your stability and thus spend a lot of admin power in order to reach that. Did someone say tax matter? And after getting a level 2 diplomatic reputation dude and improving my allies a lot, I'm able to finally complete another one of my missions, giving us some reform progress, diplomatic power, and trust with all allies and subjects that have at least 150 opinion with us, which will be quite helpful because in order to request the electorate we need to have at least 80 trust. So you'll be slowly work our way there. And because I think the video is already getting messy, I will edit the things from now on. The save file will be in the Discord server in the link of the description, so if you think that your game is not going to be that well for you, you can pretty much have a bit of fun with mine. We did vassalize both Livonian Order and Brandenburg and already placate them, expand our force limit for quite some good margin, basically almost complete the quality idea. And for my second idea, as I already said, I will be picking diplomatic, later probably innovative or espionage, and after requesting to become a lector from Hesse, we can pretty much start playing a normal HRU playthrough where we do become the emperor and work our way to revoke the privilege. After all, the secularized mission will make us a monarchy for at least a while, and if we do manage to grab the imperial crown, we'll be getting some really great modifiers while we do manage to stay as the emperor, and after revoking the privilege, we'll be getting some really great power modifier for the governing capacity and diplomatic reputation. As for the economy, we can pretty much fuel our army, and with our forts up and the max amount of army maintenance, we still have some really great balance. So from now on, it's pretty much up to you guys decide what you want to do. Thank you very much for watching so far. Please subscribe, leave a like and comment what you think about the video as well. See ya! So we are here again, huh? Thank you guys for watching so far. Here another video do you enjoy. And if you come that far, subscribe. I mean, the button is literally there.